You could have clicked on any video on the internet. Do not come at me in a little while asking, why did you make me see this? You know damn well what you're getting into. Today I was just sitting around and decided to go on the hell site that is Reddit and look at some RPG horror stories. This Redditor titled their post, "He's touching himself, hole his mom is in the room." Assuming they meant while. So when I first saw that title, I thought maybe somehow it had gotten in the wrong thread. But no, unfortunately, this is RPG related because if God's real, he hates us. Apparently this is part 2 of a story. I could go and look for the part 1, but I won't. I'm sure it's interesting, but it's not necessarily relevant to this because this on its own made me feel the need to sit down here and talk to you about it. So let's get started. Part 2 to the very tall dwarf story of a horror story about another player in that group. Let's call him Nice Guy. Nice Guy. You already know this is gonna be some dumb shit. From the get-go, Nice Guy was in my inbox, talking to me, complimenting me, and telling me how much of a nice guy he was. Oh lordy. He commented that his paladin would find it awkwardly hard to talk to my satyr Dawn, a MILF wizard with her adopted son Red, who is another player, due to her being so hot. And his paladin would find it hard not to break his He definitely gave me creeper vibes, but I just limited to talking to him only in group chats with everyone else. One evening, me and Red and Nice Guy are in a call chatting about D&D and our chactickers. That is a fun word to say. I wish that was actually a word. Characters. When Red has to log off for the night, and I say goodbye, and instantly Nice Guy says, "I bet you're gonna log off now too, huh? You wouldn't want to be stuck in a call with a weirdo like me." I wish I'd logged off there and then. Y'all are about to wish that too, because had she just logged off right then, it would have spared us all this pain. He starts talking and crying about his ex who he stalks. Yes, actually stalks, and telling me how he still knows where she lives and wants to go visit her after years of no communication from her end. And while he cries, he's trying to message me, so all I can hear are his silent sobs while he starts to ask me personal questions about my romance and sex life. I've already read this, so I know what's coming, and I want to feel sorry for him, but stalking somebody is just not okay. It's just not okay. I don't feel sorry for him anymore. At this point, I feel like I'm in a corner, and I feel like I'm being held hostage, and being a woman who's had to deal with a lot of aggressive creeps, I didn't want to set this guy off out of my own fears and not wanting conflict. Okay. From what I understand, this was an online group, and believe me, I understand the instinct of just not wanting to piss off a dude who's giving you wicked bad vibes because you don't want to deal with the possible repercussions of this, especially when he's already confessed to stalking his ex. I don't know. Could he stalk you though? I mean, if it was only an online game, I get it. You don't want to piss him off, but also, God help me, I wish you logged off. If you feel like you're being backed into a corner by somebody with their manipulative talk, or even if you don't think it's manipulative, if somebody's making you uncomfortable, F out of there. But if you think this is bad, if you think that she should have logged off at this point, we're just getting started. He starts asking me intimate questions about my vagina. And other invading questions about my work. He Googled me and found out that I did porn for a living, and he was obsessed with it. I honestly didn't know what to do out of my own panic. I answered his questions. Yes, I know at this point you're going to say I was asking for it and leading him on. Look, the whole "what were you wearing" argument is definitely a thing. I don't see how this could be leading anybody on. Argue with me in the comments because I don't see it. I don't care if she does porn for a living. You don't just go and ask somebody questions like that out of nowhere. But when you're in that situation after years of trauma and PTSD caused by guys like him, you kind of just freeze up and just be nice to make them not blow up at you. Ask any woman, and I'm sure she's been through this. So it is really sad. She says several times in this post about how she has PTSD and trauma. And that is really sad, and I know that that contributes to why she reacted the way that she did, as opposed to just yeeting herself from this conversation. So it's really just a mess going in, and it continues to be a mess. I asked him why he's only typing and not talking. I could still hear sounds that I assumed were crying. And he told me he was in the room with his sleeping mother and couldn't talk. Remember this. I don't wanna. He continued asking questions about my vagina and sex life and how he was so jealous that I was in the porn industry. And he wouldn't be able to because he was so ugly. And he was such a nice guy and has a nice penis too. At this point, I can still definitely hear sounds coming from his end, and it sounds suspiciously similar to a sound I'm very familiar with from work. So basically, this dude seems to be getting off on telling her these woe is me tales, and by the way, I also have a really nice dick. At any point, you could exit this conversation. I really don't want to be mean because I understand about the PTSD. I understand about not, wanting to set off somebody who's very obviously not well. But you also don't need to put yourself through this. Please, if you're ever in a situation like this, exit. At this point, I'm cringing in my seat and I'm so uncomfy. Hashtag relatable, am I right? That I'm just sitting here silently and muting him so I can't hear the huffs and grunts coming from my headphones. You're just jerking off to the sound of your voice. If you're gonna go so far as to mute him, just end the call. Just silence yourself. Okay, I'm not gonna say I'm not judging. I am judging, okay? But it's not the kink that I'm judging. I'm not judging that a person gets off on hearing someone's voice or telling their sob stories. I am judging the fact that this is not consensual. Clearly, this is not consensual. And you have every right to protect yourself from someone creeping on you and just getting off on your voice without your consent and making you this uncomfortable. End the call. End our suffering. It ended with us saying goodbye. You said goodbye? So what, did he finish? Did he tell you he finished? Did he type goodbye with his hands? Stop making me think about it. But here's the real kicker to this story for you all. I don't know if you're ready for it. She says, the next day, she came back. She came back to this group. She came back to this situation. The next day, the tall dwarf story happened, and I left and I messaged the DM about the experience after talking to that guy. The DM came to the conclusion that I was leading him on and flirting with him, so what did you expect? I'm shaking writing this as the last time I posted about this group. I got tons of harassment and threats, but I just wanted to share the shit I as a female D&D player goes through. So a couple things about this here. Harassment and death threats, definitely never okay, and I'm really sorry this person went through that. I will say, take this as a joke, please. I feel like I need to say that. This is a joke. I say this in humor. It kind of seems like you're a glutton for punishment. So you posted about this person before and got a lot of harassment, and you're posting about it again. Just like you went through this really gross thing with this other player, and then you came back again. And then you talked to the DM about it. Also, what the fuck, DM? I mean, clearly we're only getting one half of this story. We can't definitively say that this wasn't a situation about flirting and leading somebody on. I'm inclined to think that that's not the case, because I have also experienced things as a woman. Seriously though, we should always be skeptical of accusations like this. We have no proof that this is actually what happened, but I'm not really here to call anybody out or make statements of, I think you're the liar, or I think you're the liar, or I think this happened, or I think this didn't happen. So going on to assume that this happened exactly as it was written, yeah, don't do that. If somebody's ever making you uncomfortable in a gaming situation, or not, if somebody's ever making you uncomfortable and you think that they're jacking off while they're listening to you talk to them and tell their sob stories, and you don't like it, end the call, close it, log off, cease. I know, we get such profound thoughts on this channel. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Anyways, that's it today. Thank you for coming. No pun intended. And I'll see you next time. The whole problem is that she says that it was after the game and they were still in the chat, and it seemed like he started jerking off while they were talking, so